My father stood in the middle of the anniversary hall
Probably
with one hand
push
clenched around a
this back
champagne
a
flute
little.
and the other pointing straight at the projector screen,
Let's
his
see.
face turning a deep, dangerous red.
Yep.
"Turn it off, Marina," he hissed,
I
low
don't think
enough to
it makes
sound
sense with
controlled,
the photo
but loud enough
reference,
for
so
every guest in that room to
never
hear. "Turn
mind.
it off right now!" But it was already too late. 64 people had already seen the title glowing across the 120-inch screen behind him. Cole Family
Hmm.
Financial Dependency Report 1-2, Year
What
Review.
is that?
And beneath it, in bold black
What's
numbers,
flipping
was
there?
the amount my family had taken from me while
Hello?
calling it love.
So in the bill, there's still something at the back
$428,750. My
that
mother,
we are
Elaine
just
Cole,
trying to figure
stood
out.
beside the three-tier anniversary cake with one hand pressed to her pearl
Cause,
necklace and the other trembling against the white
well,
linen
one, I can
tablecloth.
still move the
My
whole
brother
lot.
Brandon was frozen in his navy suit,
I think I can
staring at
move
the
it
line
one
that mentioned
more.
Magnolia Crest Holdings, the private real estate account he had sworn did not exist. My younger
If I
sister
do
Tessa,
that, we
who
have
had rolled
the
her eyes when I walked in wearing an old
there's
blazer
like
and worn-down
some
shoes,
kind of wall
was no longer
somewhere.
rolling anything. She was staring at my name, her
I
name,
hate how
Brandon's
this
name,
doesn't
and
like
12 years of payments
why
broken
does it
down into
have to slant
color-coded
like
rows.
that?
Aunt Patricia, my mother's sister and a
Mm,
tax attorney with the kind of calm voice that could silence a courtroom, slowly put on her reading
I
glasses
want
and
this to
leaned
be
forward.
straight though, but I'll figure
"Richard,"
it out
she
later.
said,
I
her
think we
eyes
should
fixed on row
start
58. "Why does this say
just popping
$18,000
the
for an
windows.
emergency tax settlement?" My father did not answer. He could not, because the truth had finally reached the one room he could not control. I stood beside the projector table with a laptop open in front of me and an 89-cent can of tomato soup sitting beside the anniversary cake.
Where
That
are the
can was not a
reference
joke.
photos? Let me
It was not
see.
drama. It was what I had been
Does it
eating when I
look
had
like
less than $200 left to my name, while my family was spending my money at a
in the
Palm Beach
front?
resort. Before I tell you how a can of soup, a hidden
Hmm.
real estate account, and a 12-year lie
Well,
destroyed my parents' perfect anniversary party, welcome back. If you have ever been the responsible one, the one everyone
let's
calls
see.
only
Let's
when
see.
money is needed, the one who gets guilt instead of gratitude, subscribe and leave a comment telling me how long it took you to realize you were not being loved, you were being used,
So there's a little
because I
bit
did
of a
not learn
half
that
wall
lesson in
somewhere
one day.
here,
It took me
and then maybe the
117 days of
stairs
silence,
going
12 years
down
of
there is
financial
on the
bleeding,
side.
and one spreadsheet brutal enough to end a
Hmm.
family myth in front of everyone who believed it. My name is Marina Cole. I was
Hmm.
36 years old when my family finally lost access to my bank
So
account.
this is the
I
level
lived
of
in
the
Savannah, Georgia,
house.
in a narrow one-bedroom apartment near the
We
old
are
industrial
going
port,
to
where the walls sweated in the summer, the windows rattled when trucks passed, and the air
I think
always
I
smelled
do want to
faintly of
put the
salt,
floor here
rust, and
though.
diesel. For most of my adult life, I worked as a health insurance fraud investigator.
Somewhere
I
there.
reviewed suspicious hospital claims, inflated medical bills, false treatment codes, duplicate reimbursements, and every kind of financial lie people hide inside paperwork. I was trained to
Hmm.
follow patterns, to test stories against
I think
documents,
it
to
might just
ignore
be
emotion until the
this.
numbers had spoken. I could find a fraudulent billing network buried under thousands of claims faster than most people could find a receipt in their glove compartment.
Yep.
And somehow, for 12 years, I never investigated
I
my
think
own
it
family.
kinda
The
does.
countdown began on a humid Monday
Was it
morning in
kinda
May,
don't?
inside a glass conference room on the 8th floor
Yeah,
of a
I think
corporate
it
building
does for the
downtown.
front of the
A woman from
house.
Human Resources, a
We're
woman
gonna
I had
put
seen only
a
twice in my life, slid a
can
folder across the
I
table and told me the company was
extend this
restructuring.
here?
My department was being reduced. My position was being eliminated. She used polished
And
phrases like
extend this one
organizational
more.
realignment and fiscal correction, but all I heard was
Hmm,
this: my income was gone. 20 minutes later,
maybe up
my
to
employee
here.
badge stopped working. My email access disappeared,
We'll
and
put
I was
stairs
standing in the
there
parking lot holding a cardboard
so that
box
we
filled
can
with a
reach
desk
the
plant,
bottom part of
3
the
notebooks,
house.
a travel mug, and the remains of a life I had thought was stable. I sat in my old Toyota Corolla with my hands shaking against the steering wheel. I did not call my mother for money. I need you to understand that.
I'll
I
still
did not
fix
call
that,
asking for
don't
rent
worry.
or groceries or a loan.
I
I
know there
called because I
is
wanted to hear my
a
mother's voice say,
kind of
"Come
a
home
half
for dinner,
wall.
Marina. We will figure this out." She answered on the third ring, cheerful and
Somewhere
distracted,
here.
telling someone in the background that the florist had sent the
Ooh,
wrong shade of
not
white
supposed
lilies
to
for a
be that
church
high.
luncheon. "Mom," I said, and my voice cracked so badly I barely recognized it.
Maybe
"I
a
lost my
little
job."
less.
The line went quiet. For
Oh
one
my god.
soft, stupid second, I thought she was gathering herself because she was worried about me. Then she inhaled sharply and said, "But what about the transfer on the 15th? I blinked, staring through the windshield at the blurred shape of my office building. "What?" "Your father is waiting on that money for the house repair loan," she said, her voice tightening. "Marina, you know that payment cannot be late." I told her I had no income. I told her I had severance, but it had to last until I found work. I told her I was scared. She sighed like I had inconvenienced her.
Why is that?
"The house matters to this family," she said.
Hello?
"Do not let your career problem become everybody else's
Or do we
problem."
wanna make it lower?
Then she hung up. The sound of that call ending was so small,
Might
so
we just
ordinary,
have it this
just a
low?
click followed by silence, but something inside me shifted. I sat in that parking lot for nearly 15
too low.
minutes, the Georgia heat pressing against the windows,
Mm,
and realized that my mother had not asked
do
whether
think
I
it's
was
the
okay.
tall one?
She had not asked if I
think
could
what we
eat.
have to
She had not
think
asked
of
if I needed to come
is
home. She had asked
a
about the
gate that
money.
goes with it.
To
I
understand
was
why that
thinking
hurt
this
the way
one
it did, you need to understand the role
Mm.
I had been assigned long before I
or
understood what
this
roles
one.
were. In the Cole family, my brother Brandon was the visionary.
I think
He was
it's
the golden
right
son, the man with big
intention, it's
dreams,
just
big
not
handshakes,
the
big plans,
like.
and
I
no
wish it
completed
was this
projects.
small,
He called himself a real estate
'cause
investor,
I think that
though
would
most
look
of his
great.
investing happened in coffee shops where he
'Cause
opened his
it's this
laptop,
big,
wore
it's
expensive
too
watches,
big.
and spoke loudly about development opportunities that never closed. My sister Tessa was the creative
So
one.
you might just
She was
use
building a
these.
design brand, or at least that was the phrase she used whenever
I
someone
think they
asked
look
why she
good.
did not have a full-time job. She needed studio space,
I think they
premium
look fine.
software, personal branding photos, networking memberships, gym access, aesthetic clothes, and endless encouragement. And then there was me, Marina, the practical one, the stable one, the one who understood bills, the one who never needed anything, the one who was expected to solve the problems other people created. It started when I was 24. I had just received my first real full-time salary. I remember the day
I'll figure
clearly
out all
because
the
I had planned to buy a
sides.
compact washing machine for my apartment. It sounds small, but to me, at
It'd be
24,
fun to
it
put
felt like
the-
luxury. I was tired
Hey,
of hauling laundry down 3 flights of stairs and sitting for
mailbox
hours in a
here
laundromat with
somewhere.
broken vending machines and fluorescent lights. I had chosen the model. I had
It's
measured the
not
corner of
there,
my
but
kitchen. I had waited for that first
it's where we
paycheck
can
like it was
put
a
it.
ticket into adulthood. Then my father called and asked me to come home.
Mm,
The house looked
I
beautiful from
think
the
we should
outside,
put
as it always
stairs.
did. White columns, hanging
Um,
ferns, polished windows, the kind of southern
I think
colonial
the
home people slow
stairs
down to
might
admire.
be
Inside, my father
what's
sat
supposed
at
to
the
be
kitchen island
here.
with his elbows on the granite counter and his face arranged into exhaustion. "Marina," he
Why
said,
is it?
"you are the
Why
only
is
one
my
in this
terrain
family
all
who
flat?
understands responsibility." That sentence
I
should
don't
have
know,
warned me.
man.
Instead, it made me sit up
I'll put
straighter.
stairs there.
He told me the storm damage from the
I
previous
wanted the
year
bed.
had been worse than they admitted. He said the roof repairs had ballooned.
Maybe
He
just
said the
there?
foundation needed emergency reinforcement.
Move it.
He said insurance had refused to cover most of it. He said they had
Oh,
taken
wait,
out a repair loan,
no.
and if they missed payments, the house might be at risk. "This is your childhood
Um,
home," he said, looking me
just
directly in
remove
the
the
eyes.
wall for a
"This is where
while.
your mother wants to grow old." I would not ask if we had any other choice. I panicked. I pictured the porch where I had read books as a child. I pictured my mother crying while strangers carried furniture
Stairs
onto the
go
lawn.
down here.
I pictured neighbors whispering.
There.
I opened my banking app and sent him the amount he requested. I did not
Um,
buy the washing machine. I kept going to the laundromat for years. I told myself that was what family did. Family sacrificed.
oh,
Family
wait, what
helped.
happened? Did I click
Family
something?
stepped in during emergencies. But the emergency never ended. 1 month became 6. 6 became a year. A year became 12. By the time I lost my job,
think
I was
that's
sending my
where the
family
stairs would go.
$3,450 every month. $1,950 went to my parents for what they called
Yeah,
the
we can
repair
put stuff
loan.
there.
$650 covered Tessa's car insurance, studio software, and brand development
okay.
expenses. $850 went to Brandon for what he described as interest
why are
payments
my
on bridge
stairs
loans for
so
real estate opportunities. Every month, that money left my account before I dared spend
janky?
anything on myself. I lived small so they could live beautifully. I drove an old Corolla with a cracked dashboard and a passenger window that groaned like it was dying every time it
Oh, 'cause
moved.
it's not
I bought
level.
groceries from the discount shelf.
Let me just
I
move
learned
this
which
like
cans of
this,
soup were
okay?
cheapest, which bread lasted longest,
So
and how to stretch one roasted
I
chicken into
have,
4 meals.
I'll
Meanwhile,
fix it.
my parents hosted garden parties where my mother
I'll
wore
fix
silk
it.
dresses and my father spoke proudly
need
about
to-
preserving family values. Brandon arrived in rented luxury cars and let people
Why
assume
not
they
put
were
the stairs
his.
there? They
Tessa
also
posted
wanted
photos
this
from design workshops and
there.
boutique gyms,
Making
always
much more
captioned with
sense
words like
now.
becoming, expansion, alignment, and vision. And I smiled in the background, quietly funding the illusion. After I lost my job, the family group chat went silent. That chat used to buzz all day. My mother sent photos of table settings. My father sent articles about property values. Tessa sent selfies from studio corners. Brandon sent voice notes about deals that were about to change
Hey, why
everything.
want that?
But once they knew I had no income, the chat became a graveyard. No one asked if I had interviews. No one asked if I was sleeping. No one asked if I needed dinner. I spent the next few weeks treating my
Should
severance
also
like
be
oxygen
black.
in a sealed room. I made
I
spreadsheets
don't
for
know
groceries.
why it's-
I canceled subscriptions. I sold a silver watch I had bought myself after my first promotion. I turned off the air conditioning even though Savannah in June felt like breathing through a wet towel. I ate canned tomato soup over toast so stale it scratched the roof of my mouth. On day 23,
What?
my
This
phone
lot is
finally lit
weird.
up with a message from Tessa. My heart actually jumped.
lot is
I thought,
absolutely
foolishly, that my little sister had remembered I
can't
existed.
flatten the sides
Her message
for
said,
some
"Did you
weird
cancel my
reason."
premium gym membership? I have a brand shoot next week."
Yeah.
I stared at the screen, waiting for another
Well,
message to
do
appear.
something
Maybe,
there.
also, how are you? Maybe, sorry, I forgot you were dealing with job stuff. Nothing came. I typed, I lost my job. I had to cut everything non-essential. She replied within seconds. That is so
Will
selfish.
also
You should have warned me.
change.
I am trying to build an image. I read that line 3
I think
times.
that's a
Build an
foundation
image.
trip.
I was sitting in an apartment with no air conditioning, eating soup from a dented can, calculating how long I could survive without selling my car, and my sister was angry because I had interrupted her image. The amount
will
was
fix
not the
this.
point. The
Not
disrespect
gonna look
was.
like that.
I logged into my bank account and canceled
Probably gonna
every
put
automatic
landscaping
payment
there.
tied to Tessa.
But I think, yeah,
No
I think it
announcement,
makes
no
sense
apology,
that
no explanation. Just click, confirm, cancel. It was the first boundary I had ever set, and even though it was small, I felt it in my chest like a locked door finally closing. On day 51, Brandon called. He did not say hello.
probably
He did
needs
not
a
ask about my
column
job
there
search. He
just
said,
to make it
I
make
need
sense.
$1,100 today. I closed my eyes. For what? Bridge loan, he snapped. The coastal property deal. If I miss this
don't want
payment,
it
the
to
whole
be
structure
bumpy.
collapses. I asked him what happened to the $850 I had sent the previous month. The silence that followed was not confusion. It was anger. You know, he said slowly, Dad was right about you. I gripped the edge of my kitchen counter.
Just there.
Right about what? That you always had money tucked away, but you liked making people beg.
And
You lost one job and
it's
now
a
you
pretty
want
big
everyone else
house
to suffer
here.
because you are bitter. It is strange how certain sentences can burn through years of denial. Dad was right about you. That meant they had been discussing me.
Yeah.
Not as the daughter keeping them afloat, not as the sister sacrificing her own future, as the selfish one, the difficult one, the
So
hoarder,
our floor plan
the bitter woman
is,
who refused to understand their needs.
there's
I told
a
Brandon I could not help him.
bedroom
He called me
here.
jealous,
They have their own
said my career
ensuite.
failure did not give me the right to
This is a
sabotage his
common,
future, and
like,
hung up.
powder room.
I stood in my kitchen for a long time,
probably have
listening to the
a
refrigerator hum. Then, for
big
the first
kitchen
time,
here.
my professional brain stepped into
This
my
is the
personal
dining,
life.
'cause that is
A bridge loan does
pretty-
not collapse from one missed informal
we
family
also
transfer.
have this.
A
I
real
think we're
investment
gonna
has
try to
documents,
figure out the
schedules, penalties,
landscaping
notices.
now.
Brandon had given me a panic
I
story,
might
not a financial
also-
reality.
Sorry,
And if he was
I'm, like,
lying, what else had they lied about?
moving
The
all
answer
over the
came 3
place.
weeks later, on day
But I know there's a
74.
wall
Because I
here
was trying to
somewhere,
save $12 a month,
so
I still
maybe
paid
I
for the
can
family
move the
cloud
whole
storage
lot
account. 12 years of birthdays,
to
church events, holidays, graduations, home videos, scanned
the
documents,
center.
and curated memories were stored there under my billing information. I logged in to download what I wanted and cancel the plan. That was when I saw a new album syncing in real time. The title was Spring Renewal Weekend. I clicked it. The first photo showed an oceanfront balcony in Palm Beach. The second showed my mother in a cream silk dress, holding a cocktail with a slice of orange floating in it. The third showed my father leaning back in a wicker chair, smoking a cigar and laughing. Then Tessa appeared beside a spa pool in a white robe. Then Brandon stood next to a bright red sports car with rental plates, wearing sunglasses and pointing at the camera like he had won something. I clicked a video. My father lifted a glass toward the phone and said, "Finally time to enjoy what we built. What we built." I felt something cold move through my body. I checked the metadata. The photos were taken the same week Brandon called me demanding $1,100. The same week Tessa complained about her gym membership. The same month my mother told me the house repair loan could not be late. While I was skipping meals and selling my watch, they were drinking cocktails in Palm Beach. I did not cry. I opened a blank document and typed the title, Cole Family Financial Dependency Report. Then I did what I should have done years earlier. I investigated. For 72 hours, my apartment stopped being a home and became an evidence room. I downloaded 12 years of bank statements, 144 monthly reports. I pulled transfer confirmations, memo lines, old emails, text messages, payment reminders, canceled checks, and cloud metadata. I sorted everything by date, amount, stated purpose, actual beneficiary, and supporting evidence. The patterns appeared quickly, and once they appeared, they were impossible to unsee. My mother had asked for $2,400 for emergency eye treatment. 3 days later, she posted a photo from a charity luncheon wearing a new pearl necklace that retailed for almost exactly $2,400. Tessa had cried about needing $1,350 to replace a design laptop. That same weekend, she attended a creative retreat in Charleston. Brandon had requested $2,000 to secure a land contract. 2 days later, he was photographed at a private golf event with a platinum guest badge. My father had asked for $3,800 for urgent property taxes. The money aligned almost perfectly with a resort invoice buried in an email thread he had accidentally forwarded years before. Every lie had a rhythm: panic, guilt, transfer, luxury. Panic, guilt, transfer, luxury. Then I examined the biggest line item, the house repair loan. Because of my work in health insurance fraud, I knew how to verify claims against records. I knew that after major storms, repair payouts, contractor invoices, and insurance settlements left trails. I searched old county filings. I requested archived insurance documents. I compared dates, and then the foundation of my entire adult life cracked open. The storm damage had been covered, not partially. Not barely, almost completely. My parents had received an insurance settlement, and they had also received local recovery funds after the storm. There was no 12-year repair loan. There was no monthly threat. There was no unpaid debt keeping the house alive. My father had created a crisis, placed it in my hands, and let me carry it for over a decade. But the cruelest discovery was still waiting. In the early years, before digital transfers became routine, I had mailed checks through my bank's bill pay system. I requested scanned copies. When the images arrived, I opened the back of the checks and zoomed in on the endorsement stamps. The money had not gone to a lender. It had gone into an account connected to Magnolia Crest Holdings, a private real estate investment entity registered to Brandon Cole. I sat back from the laptop so fast my chair scraped the floor. My parents had not been using me to save the house. They had been using me to build Brandon's safety net. They turned my 20s and half my 30s into capital for their favorite child. Every apartment I did not rent, every vacation I skipped, every doctor's appointment I delayed, every piece of clothing I put back on the rack, every night I lay awake wondering why I was always behind, all of it had been redirected into Brandon's fantasy empire. When I clicked the final sum, the number appeared at the bottom of the spreadsheet. $428,750. I stared at it until the digits stopped looking like money and started looking like time. 12 years, 12 birthdays, 12 summers, 12 Christmases pretending I was fine, 12 years of being told I was loved while being billed for the privilege. I exported the report into a 16-page presentation. I attached bank statements, insurance records,
Running as
screenshots,
slow as
photo
possible
metadata,
because
transfer logs, and a full
drain
timeline.
paint is
I did not know when I would use
hard.
it. I only knew I would never delete it.
There.
On day 103, my mother
I knew
called.
why it's
Her
not
voice
the
was
same
sweet,
level.
bright, and completely
Should be.
shameless. Darling, she
But
said,
yeah,
your father and I are having our 40th anniversary celebration next
that's
Saturday.
what we're trying
Everyone
to
will be
do.
there. Church friends, family, the old neighbors. You need to arrive by 6.
Well, there's.
She did not ask whether I had found work.
Okay, I think I did something
She did
wrong.
not ask whether I was still eating soup from cans. She went straight into instructions. There would be a memory video. There would be champagne. There would be a private room at a historic restaurant near the square. Then she said, casually, since you are good with technology, can you cover the video package and the champagne upgrade? It is only around $780. I almost laughed. I cannot pay that, I said. Her voice cooled. Marina, do not make this awkward. This is a milestone for your father and me. I said I cannot pay it. She sighed. The same disappointed sigh she had used my entire life to make me feel 12 years old. Fine, but do not come empty-handed. That would be humiliating.
And
I looked at the 16-page report glowing on my
we're not
laptop.
working.
For the first time in months, I smiled. I will not come empty-handed, I said. On the night of the anniversary, the restaurant looked like something from a magazine. White flowers, gold candles, crystal glasses, framed photos of my parents through 40 years of marriage, and a large projector screen waiting to play the tribute video. The room was filled with people who believed Richard and Elaine Cole were the picture of devotion, dignity, and family values. My mother floated between tables in a pale blue dress, accepting compliments. My father shook hands like a retired statesman. Brandon stood near the bar explaining something about market timing to a man who looked trapped. Tessa took photos of the decor for her social media. Then I walked in.
Oh, no.
I wore an old black blazer, faded trousers, and low shoes
think
with
this
scuffed
is
toes.
fine.
My hair was pulled back. I had no
may have to
jewelry.
do something
In my right hand, I carried an
here
89-cent can of
would
tomato
make more
soup.
sense,
The conversation dipped as people
but at
turned
the
to
moment, we're
look.
sticking with that.
Tessa's mouth tightened with embarrassment. Brandon smirked. My mother's face flickered with panic, not because she saw a daughter who had been struggling, but because I did not match the aesthetic. My father intercepted me near the hallway.
Oh, now
His
that I'm
fingers
looking
closed
at it,
around my
I think
elbow.
the vampires
What is wrong with you?
make
He
more
whispered.
sense.
You look like you came here to beg.
Like this
I
one?
looked at him calmly. I came to say something.
Yeah.
He pulled me into the hallway outside the private room. You will go in there, he said. You will apologize to your mother for being difficult. You will
think
say
this
something
might be
gracious,
the right
and you will
color.
not make yourself the center of attention. Today is not about you playing victim. I let him finish. Then I said, you are right. I should say something in front of everyone. The tension left his face. He believed he had won.
Yeah.
That was his mistake. He walked back into the room,
Changing this
tapped a
to
spoon against his
sentence.
glass, and smiled at the guests. Everyone, Marina has asked to say a few
Yeah,
words before we
and
play
other
the
photos,
anniversary video. He gestured toward me with the proud expression of a man presenting a corrected child.
I mean,
I stepped to the front. I placed the tomato soup can beside the
we're
cake.
sticking with this.
The metal sound it made against the table was small, but in that quiet room, it felt enormous. This, I said, touching the top of the can, is what I ate when I had almost nothing left. I thought it belonged in the room with
We're
everything
still
my money
figuring
paid
out the
for.
windows,
Confusion moved across the guests' faces.
but I
My
think
mother
this makes
whispered,
more sense
Marina,
for the-
stop. I opened my laptop and
brick.
connected it to the projector. The screen flickered. Instead of the tribute video,
Yeah,
my
much
report
more
appeared.
sense. Please
Cole
forgive me
Family
for that
Financial
stupid
Dependency
ass
Report
wall.
1-2. Year review. $428,750. My father slammed his fist onto the table. Turn it off. I did not move. 117 days ago, I lost my job. I began. My voice was steady.
Actually,
Not loud,
no,
not
that's
emotional,
done.
just clear. In those 117 days, no one in my immediate family called to
It's
ask
just
if I could
this.
eat, if I could pay rent, or if I needed help.
And,
My mother asked about the
that
house payment.
one, oops,
My sister asked about
sorry.
her gym membership. My brother asked for emergency investment money, so I started asking a different question. Where had my money actually gone? I clicked to the first slide. A timeline appeared, 12 years long. I explained the monthly payments, $1,950 for the supposed house repair loan, $650 for Tessa's lifestyle and design expenses, $850 for Brandon's investment debts. I clicked again. The insurance documents appeared. The repair loan did not exist, I said. The storm damage was covered by insurance and recovery funds. There was no 12-year debt. Someone gasped. My mother's lips parted. My father stepped toward the laptop, but Aunt Patricia said, "Richard, stand still." Her voice was calm, and somehow that made it more frightening. I clicked again. The check scans appeared, front and back. The money I sent to save the house was deposited into Magnolia Crest Holdings, a real estate entity tied to Brandon. Tessa turned slowly toward him. "You knew?" she whispered.
Okay.
Brandon said nothing. I moved through the emergency requests next.
Try something here.
My mother's $2,400 eye treatment beside the pearl necklace. Tessa's $1,350 laptop crisis beside the Charleston retreat. Brandon's $2,000 land contract beside the private golf event. My father's $3,800 tax emergency beside a resort invoice. Every slide landed like a door locking shut. Then Aunt Patricia raised her hand. "Go back," she said. "Row 58. I scrolled. Her eyes narrowed. $18,000. Emergency tax settlement for Richard Cole. The room went cold. Patricia stood. "Richard, you called me about that. You said the state was coming after you. You said Elaine was sick with worry." I pulled $18,000 out of my savings. My father's face emptied of color. Patricia looked at the screen, then at him. "And Marina sent money for the same emergency that same week." Silence. Then Patricia said, "This is not family misunderstanding. This is financial fraud." My mother burst into tears. "How could you do this to us?" she cried. "On our anniversary? In front of everyone? What kind of daughter humiliates her parents like this?" Brandon found his voice and shouted that I was jealous, unstable, angry because I had failed professionally. Tessa started crying, not for me, but because she had finally realized that even in the hierarchy of selfishness, she had been second place. My father lunged toward the laptop. Patricia stepped in front of him. "Touch that computer," she said, "and I will make sure the police report includes it." For the first time in my life, someone older, stronger, and respected stood between me and my father's rage. I closed the laptop myself. The projector went dark. The anniversary slideshow returned, showing a soft focus photo of my parents smiling on their wedding day. Two young people who had no idea what kind of damage they would one day call love. I picked up the soup can. "I paid for membership in this family for 12 years, I said. "Tonight, I cancel the contract." My mother grabbed my wrist. "Tell them you exaggerated," she whispered desperately. "Tell them this is grief or stress or revenge. Fix this, Marina. We will lose everything." I looked at her hand on my wrist and then into her eyes. There was no remorse there, only fear of consequences. "You already spent everything I owed you," I said. "There is nothing left to withdraw." Then I walked out. Behind me, the room erupted. Patricia demanded repayment within 72 hours. Other relatives began naming loans they had made, emergencies they had believed, favors they had never questioned.
That's what we're gonna do.
My father's empire of respectability collapsed in real time under the weight of its own receipts. I stepped into the warm Savannah night, got into my old Corolla, and drove home with the windows down. I still had no job. I still had almost no money. But for the first time in 12 years, my paycheck, if I ever found one again, would belong to me. The fallout spread faster than I expected. Patricia did not bluff. She hired an attorney and sent a demand letter. Other relatives followed. My parents' church friends heard the story. My mother's social circle, the one she had spent decades polishing, went silent. Invitations disappeared. Calls went unanswered. My father was asked to step down from a local advisory board. Brandon's Magnolia Crest account was frozen and drained to repay people he had manipulated. His rented lifestyle evaporated. The car went back. The co-working office closed his access.
Somewhere here.
The man who spoke about generational wealth moved back into his childhood bedroom. Tessa lost her studio, her software, her gym, and her brand shoots. She took a retail job at a furniture store downtown and learned, very slowly, that standing for 8 hours under
This should
fluorescent
actually
lights
be a
changes a
wall.
person's understanding of money. As for
This
me,
one
the victory did not magically pay
and
rent.
this.
By the end of that month, I had less than
Maybe this.
$200. I was
Yep.
free, but freedom still needed groceries. Then, a national insurance
Just
company
like
in
that.
Atlanta posted a director role in fraud risk analytics. I applied with no expectation. During the final interview,
You can play
an
around with the
executive asked me to
walls.
describe the most complex
put a
financial
wall
fraud
here.
network I had ever untangled under pressure. I slid a redacted
Might
version
make
of the
more
Cole report
sense.
across the table. No names, no addresses, just methodology, timelines, cross-referenced payments, insurance records, and behavioral patterns. I explained how I
think it
separated
does.
emotional manipulation from verifiable data, how I tracked false emergencies, how I compared stated purpose against actual benefit, how I built a case so clean the subject could scream, cry, deny, and still not move a single number. The room went silent. Then the executive said, "You did this alone?" I said yes. They offered me the job before I left the building, 70% more than my previous salary. A signing bonus. Full benefits. Hybrid
So
flexibility.
The landscaping
For
follows
years,
this?
my family treated my discipline like a resource they could mine.
There might
That
be a
discipline
different
became the tool that saved my life.
view that I'm
I
not
moved to
seeing.
Atlanta. 6 months later, I had rebuilt my
It
emergency
follows this,
fund.
and then
9
there's
months
like
later, I bought a new car. A year
another
later,
structure
I
here?
signed the papers on a small townhouse with clean
Might not
windows,
put that.
quiet walls, and a balcony where I could drink coffee without calculating
Might
who needed
not.
my money more than I did. No one
Might
withdrew
not. We'll see.
$3,450 from my account each month.
I wonder
No one
how
punished me for buying
all
myself groceries.
that's
No one called me selfish for surviving.
kind of the same
Then,
size. Like,
one
if we
November
put it
morning,
here,
a letter arrived from Savannah.
it makes more
I knew my
sense.
father's handwriting immediately. I opened it at my
Or
kitchen counter.
maybe just put a
It
wall
said,
there.
"Marina, we are losing the house. Your mother cannot
Wall
take
right
this.
across
Family
that.
is family. We are willing to forgive what you did at the anniversary. Please
Conflicting
call."
blockbusters.
I read the sentence again. "We are
So,
willing to
how
forgive what you did."
to
They had
where
taken
can I
12
put the
years
wall?
from me. They had built Brandon's future with
There?
my labor. They had watched me
Oh,
disappear into
no,
financial
wrong.
exhaustion and called it duty.
Supposed to be here.
And still, in their minds, they were the ones offering forgiveness. But the first line was the masterpiece. "We are
And,
losing the house." The lie my father used to trap me at
We'll
24
definitely
had
fix
finally
that.
become true. Not because I failed them, because the bill for their own deception had arrived.
actually,
I did
I
not
can
call.
put just
I did
a
not
wall
write a
there.
speech. I did not explain. I took a black marker and wrote across the envelope, "Refused, no account on file."
Oh,
Then I placed it back in the
looks
mailbox. That was the last transaction they
weird if
ever
we
attempted
close
with
it
me.
off.
And like every false charge should be, it was
Feel like it
declined.
should be landscaping
If you are
instead.
listening to this and there is someone in your life who only calls when rent is due, when a car breaks down, when a dream needs funding,
Maybe
when an
what I
emergency
can do
appears
is,
just in time to
maybe
drain
just
your
make a
savings,
half wall.
listen carefully. Love does not require you to bankrupt yourself. Family does not mean
There.
becoming the financial floor everyone else stands on while they look down at you. The people who truly
Where
love
am I
you will
placing
ask whether you are
these?
okay when your hands are empty. The people who only
I
love your
can't-
usefulness will call you selfish the moment you stop
I
paying.
can place it
So
here.
check the records, check the
I
pattern,
can't place
check who
anymore.
disappears when the money stops. And when the truth becomes clear, do
Why?
not be afraid to close the account. Thank you
Why
for staying
can't
with my story
I?
until the end.
Want
If
it
this
to-
reminded you of someone, share it with them. Subscribe for more
It's
stories about
conflicting
boundaries, betrayal, and
blockbusters.
survival.
Okay.
And tell me in the comments,
Different
what was
tag,
the
different
moment you
tag.
realized you were not being treated like family,
Moving the half
but like
wall
a bank?
there. We're probably just putting the. I think this. Oh, wait. What happened to my stairs? Yep. I wish we could. And I also don't think I am possible for me to put a wall there. So we are leaving it at that. Actually, we might just put a half wall here. Like that. Or half wall's not making sense right now. Maybe a fence. Yeah, maybe just that. We can figure this out. I will just put probably landscaping there. Oops. Soften it a little bit more. Just to make it a little bit more natural. Just removing the crazy edges. Yep. And we'll put landscaping there. Smooth. And probably do something like that. And we can put the... There's one thing I remember. It's like the bamboo thing from a certain pack. Which was it? Was it the... was it a kit? No, it's from Growing Together. Like a bamboo planter. I think it fits right in. And... well... oops. Turn it into... something like that. We'll put something else there. Yeah. Flooring can be stone. Something darker. And we can also put this in the rooftops. Or... oh, I think this one. No, I want something darker. That looks better. This is fine for the roof. And yes, I am saving. Let's put that. It's a small courtyard. My problem with this area is I can't put terrain paint. Well, I can put terrain paint here, but not here. And I don't know how. Maybe the bottom of the basement. Yeah, maybe I can just do something like this. Shift K, Shift Y, Control K. How? Control F. Okay, got it. Cause see, that's the weird thing about it. Well, that part I can do terrain paint for that part. So I believe. So I believe I can put terrain paint there. I think. It's not gonna be the same color, but it is what it is. Something like that. Because do I not have anything darker than that? Oh, I think I can use these. This might be